Hey everybody, Brad Linder coming at you a little bit late this evening. Catching up on some stuff. We've got Johnny Storm today, aka the Human Torch. I gave him the little burly goatee thing that he had for a while right there. Thought that'd be a cool twist on it. I'm going to share this over with the channel and the page, and then we're going to move right into this. This is going to be a fun one because I'm going to be using a lot of Copics and a lot of different color variations, and I think it's going to be fun. And gonna hang out here for the next little bit. I'm gonna make sure that took. There we go. Now, hey Miles, glad you made it. Get my stuff out of the way here so that I can start in on this bad boy. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start in with some really bright yellows. Now, I know this is gonna be a little awkward at first, but you're gonna have to trust me on it. As always, it's gonna be a little extreme. But I'm gonna start in out here on the flame, and I'm gonna color them in bright yellow, and we're gonna go from there so that we can get this base coat down. And I'm gonna color over the edge of Johnny just a little bit for some highlights and things like that. But I may or may not color him all the way in just yet, because I want to keep the color saturated and full when we get into the reds and oranges that make up his core, because there's not too many highlights on this one in the norm anymore, where it used to be one of two ways. You either had him bright orange, or you had him, with the yellow flames coming off, or you had him red with the orange flames around him, the classic Johnny Storm, which is just fine. I mean, I'm going to go a little bit that way today and make the core really dark and hot, and then make the lighter edge come out as we go along. So that's what we're going to kind of get here as well. But this is going to be, my take on it, because like I said before, this is one of my favorite comic families and comic teams, period. And this guy's phenomenal, man. I mean, he doesn't let any of the rest of them show him up. He's the most flamboyant of the crew, if nothing less, and nothing else out of it than that. So I am knocking this out as we go along here. And if I hesitate once in a while, it's because I'm checking the camera to make sure everything's okay with the new lights and stuff, because I've got the big spotlight on. Since it's so late, I've got the big lights, the big show lights on the side over here. That's why we're getting a little more shadow. Hey, Jim, glad you made it, man. Johnny, thanks for hanging out, guys. I appreciate it. And I've been trying to get better at this, back into my 3 to 5 p.m. Afternoon regular showings. But the thing was, I have been setting up and releasing my websites, finally. So I've been working on that, and just hammering, and we're so close. I also have the Phantom Rising book coming out, which is going to be really cool, which I did not expect to get that until later in the year. But I went ahead and pulled that trigger as well. So now that I've got this outline, I'm going to go ahead and base coat Johnny here as clean as possible. I erased the heck out of this thing today, so that it would be nice and clean. We would get as little graphite rollover as possible. I want those eyes nice and bright. And this is going to form him up. Oh, I hit a spot there. I hit a wet spot of graphite right there. But that's okay, because that's on the orange spot, which will be the flame anyway, so that's okay. I knew I was going to catch at least one, and unfortunately I caught it there. But that's okay, though. When that dries and the orange goes in over it, it'll be just fine. But anyway, that happens. And being a sketch card, I can get away with that, not making any excuses or anything. I do hate it when that happens, but this is live art, and sometimes, unfortunately, that does occur. So We'll go right in here, catch these, boom, boom, boom. Now I'm not going to go over that symbol because that symbol in his chest is going to be orange no matter what. You know, the orange and dark red and kind of thing. And I'm going to leave that where it is. So we're going to move forward with that. Hey, Brian, glad you made it, man. Mickey, glad you guys are dropping in. I appreciate it. Now we're going to pull in this golden yellow, which is a Y17. I love this one because it's got that bright, flamboyant orange that we're used to with Johnny. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come right in here and go right over that and outline him in that to darken him up just a little bit. Be nice and quick here because it's going to go into the flames as well. So it's okay if we go over a little. Just kind of paint that on there. And I don't want to go over the eyes just yet because I want them to stick out a little brighter in that high-end yellow, you know, like they're burning at his core, almost white hot. That makes a little bit of a difference in the color. So we have to be careful and play nice there. But we're going to knock this out really quick. Put in just a little smidge right there. Kind of tie it all together. But when I put in those light yellows around the edges to make it pop, I've got a fluorescent yellow that I'm going to put on there. And it's almost like a highlighter yellow. And it'll make it really sheen when I pop that on there. So we want to make sure we keep that open for that purpose. Okay. Not wanting to saturate these blacks so they're smudge. So we want to keep them clean. Go right in here and hammer this right out. Boom. He's already starting to build up, starting to build up. I'm digging it. And this is the last card for the Fantastic Four Galactus versus set, or vice versa, as I always list it with Galactus first. I believe this is the last one of this mini set in the series for the show. So I'm going to have to do some other stuff with the Fantastic Four to get them back on the list. So we're starting to make him penetrate here a little bit. Now I'm going to go ahead and put it in for this. Put it in this area here because I want the orange to be a little darker on that symbol. And I'm not going to go there just yet because I want that to be a little more red when I do it. Yeah, that is, Brian, to answer your question, yes, that is a goatee on Johnny Storm. Like I said, this is a 90s version where he had the goatee for a little while when they were trying to grow him up a little bit, which did not work. So we had all that going on. Now I'm going to smooth this down just a little and go ahead and pop in a couple of organic darker yellows to bring this up just a little bit. Don't want to go too high here. I want to start off with a mid-grade yellow because this is a Y19, which I just put a Y17 on him, but I went with a Y19 here because I want it to be just a little bit darker than his base coat for his highlights. And then what's going to happen is when I put in the other colors on Johnny in just a moment, he will look even brighter, or actually darker and more dense than the flame, so it'll be brighter than he is, which is what we want. So just like that, that's going to work that out. Cool deal. I like the look of that. It's starting to come together. Okay, there we go. And now I've got one lighter to go to, which is a Y35, which is going to go right in the core here. And it's just going to give that kind of a muted orange heat right in the middle of that muted yellow that everybody looks for, where it's not quite as hot right in the middle. and we're going to go that route because he's just kind of simmering right now, which makes him look really cool. So we've got that going on. And now here comes the cool one. We go in with the first real flame look, which is the yellow red 23, the YR 23. This is going to have that brown ember kind of thing going on. And we want to put this right next to his skin. If you ever color Johnny and you go with a dark yellow right next to his skin. And the reason you want to do that is because it's going to be at the lowest point where it leaves his body, and then it heats up as it exudes off of him. So it's going to get lighter and thinner and hotter towards the outer edge because that's the edge that's pushing off of him. So you're going to have a little less heat right up against him in the inner body of the flame. And a lot of people go the opposite direction and push the lighter stuff out, but I don't want to because I want it to look highlighted like it should. I also need to go in with this one on some of the shading tones, because in the darker spots of Johnny, this is going to be the darker yellow that really makes him pop out in the shaded areas. Okay, and we're going to make this kind of his core color. We're going to leave that highlight around the outer edge, but I'm going to start to bring it in as some of the core darker points for him to shine from, because the classic Johnny Storm is red, you know, all throughout, and he doesn't, red or orange, and he doesn't have any of these cool highlights until later, after 2000. It's when other artists and colorists started playing with him, and we got to do the cool stuff with him as a character. So we didn't really get that opportunity. So I'm kind of coming in here with the YR23. And like I said, I want this to look a little bit darker as it goes in towards the center. And then as it comes in with these oranges and stuff, and we brighten him up, he'll have these really cool contrasting yellows in the meat of the character itself. So, got that going on. Cool deal. And I just wanted to do something fun with the goatee version, you know, the 90s version. That's the one I wanted to I have the most experience with, is because of the design. It fits my style, so that's the reason I went that way. But I appreciate it, man. Yeah, I think they should too. I think they should bring him back too. But now that Marvel owns the Fantastic Four again, maybe we'll get that. We'll get some of that back. But I don't know what they're going to do yet. You know, it's Marvel. We can't say exactly what's going to happen. Now I'm going to bring in a really cool, it's a YR04, which is a yellow red 04. This is going to be a bright orange, and this is close to the classic orange that we're used to him from the I say classic, but it's the closest to the original orange that we saw him as, you know, in the 90s and on out. Especially when he had his own series, this was the kind of color they used. It's almost a bright tangerine type of color. It's very vibrant and very contrasting towards the hard lines of the black, which I really, really dig that. But we're going to keep on layering this thing up and getting that flamed look throughout. And now I'm going to start gapping just a little and leaving a couple of open spots for the yellow to peek through, because I want that to start to look like he's producing that flame all around him and not just sporadically around the edge. I don't want it to look like a Hal Jordan Green Lantern type of glow. I want it to be him exuding the flame itself, and that's where this is starting to come from. Okay, that's the reason why we're getting this type of action out of this. Now I'm going to start, like I said, breaking that up a little bit. There we go. Cool deal. Now he's starting to pick up the flame look. And then what we're going to have next is this awesome YR68, which is really, really cool. It's got a deep, rich orange, like a blood orange kind of thing going on. And this is the closest one to a red without it being red. that I think I've gone in this direction so far. So I'm just going to kind of put this in his core. Like I said, we're going to make him red hot, start to share off the flame here a little bit, share the color throughout. It's going to be an interesting look. It's going to be a really cool transition here. Leaving a little more on the outer edge, not quite so much. Full color saturation here. He's starting to pick up a little bit more of that traditional Johnny Storm look that we know. Okay, cool here. Like I said, not going to go into the symbol just yet, because those high ridges on the symbol are going to be bright red when all of this happens. Now right here at the core again, just to bring it off of his skin just a little, we're going to add in just a little bit here and there in those tiny little dark places right in the middle of these edges, so that we can get that going. Don't want to do too much there because we don't want him to look overworked. Cool deal. We'll put one right up here just to kind of bring it together. And now this one is going to be interesting. It's a YR18, and this is where he finally converts into the dark flame orange or red, like we know. Okay, this is going to be the hardcore color. I'm going to shadow this, and this is going to be the shadows throughout. I'm putting this in the heavy ridges and the heavy lines, like the base of the hair kind of thing. So we're going to be putting this in key areas, not necessarily all over, because this is going to be one that'll oversaturate if we go too far. Okay, kind of blend that in a little bit here and there. Okay, cool deal. Now I'm not going to put any of this one into the flames because it'll be too dark. Okay, and it'll start to wash them together, and it'll be old school then, and we won't want that because we want the new stuff. So got that going. Hey Todd, glad you made it. Okay, now I'm getting into the reds, the orange reds, and I'm gonna go with the let's see, the R08 here first, which is that true red crossover that we've been waiting on. So now this is going to go like in dark prime shadow spots only, because if you get into this and you start milking this down, he will change and turn on you in a heartbeat, and it will not look quite as vibrant. So we're going strictly dark points, just a couple of dark spots, and that is it. Boom. Right in there in the neck, just a little, right under the ear, right up in here in the dark point of the ear, right here at the crest of the hair, down here on the ridge of the bottom of the hair. Now we've got this little bit right in here. Boom, done. Boom. Just a little. Kind of feathering it in. I don't even want a pure saturation of it. I just want it to pop up just a little bit so it shows. See how that's going on, and he's got that flame look. Now I'm going to go in with an R14. This one will have more of a little bit of a pink, more of a pink type of thing, and I'm just going to kind of darken that up a little bit with those reds to pull that together so it blends. And the reason you go with the pink is because it contrasts the oranges and makes you say, you know, what exactly is that color? And you get to move through a little bit without oversaturating a bright, blistering red in there. You know, you get to keep the oranges showing through. And if you go into the flames with this one just a touch, it'll add a hot redness to it that you don't have to worry about, because it'll still be bright without choking out the other look of the flame, which is what we want to avoid doing in all cost. So, you know, you don't want them to look like a 1980s style, you know, solid red character. Now I'm going to be really brave and bold here, and I'm going to go in with an R46, which is a strong red, which is about as blood red as you can get. And excuse me, that's what we're going to do over this chest piece, because it'll make it stand out like a sore thumb in contrast, which is what we want. Make it stand up very bright, very brightly, very brightly, very brightly, and boldly is what I was trying to get to. Blah 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 blah. Let's see. Knock out the rest of this 4 here as a highlight, and now we're gonna get really, really dark into this thing, and I'm just gonna pour it on in the body. And this will give us the classic red and gold Johnny Storm that we're used to from the original Fantastic Four run when they first started coloring him, where he was primarily the red torch underneath with just a little bit of that flame streak in the eye. There we go. I don't want to go too crazy with it. Okay. Mark out this patch of hair where it's like the core of his head kind of thing. And there we go. Cool deal. Now he's got that shimmer in his eyes, and I want to leave that alone, like I said, but I'm going to leave that bright yellow in there and leave that alone. And because we couldn't have any blue on his suit due to the flames, the classic lined flames, which I think it was Jim Lee, which was the last one to use the actual lines, you know, in the body. Everybody else draws in anime style now, where it's open and they don't use the flames anymore, the flame lines. They leave it open and just show Johnny and color him different flame color instead, which I'm not against. I think it's a cool look, but I just wanted to do something more classic for this card set, and I thought it would be neat. So that's why I did it that way. And I'm overlapping these flames just a little bit to make them translucent. So by adding a little bit of a crossover on the edges here and there, like right there, it makes it kind of look transparent, like the flame's thin, and you're actually looking at the blue through the flame. And that's a cool technique you can do with Copics, but be very cautious. And don't overdo it, you know, overlap just to overlap, because it'll make it look weird. And it'll make it look like it's flowing through instead of showing transparent edges, which that breaks the illusion. If you draw a big blue line through the middle of the flame, it'll make it look weird. So don't do that. But, you know, everything is relative in art. And whatever you want to do and make happen is cool. It'll translate. They really will. Don't be scared of it. Just like in business and in everything that I do, it's always something to make you just pop out and go, wow. Now, that is it for Johnny Storm. I hope you guys dig it. That's what I got for the day. Hey, Gary, glad you made it, man. I hope it's cool. Hope you guys dig it. This is the last one out of that set before I get back into some other stuff. Let's see. We've got trying to think here. I think Merman's next from the He-Man line. I think that's the next one line. But anyway, hope you guys dig it as always. Like I said, thanks for hanging out with me so late. I'm going to be back at regular time tomorrow. Hopefully, if all works out well, I'm going to be between 3 and 5 p.m. tomorrow Central. And that's going to be the start of the new day for us to knock these out, because we're so close to hitting that April 1st deadline of the maximum 365. And I really want to hit it and then start getting into some new stuff for these cards and moving on with the show for some bigger pieces. So anyway, take care as always. You know what to do with it. It's a big rock. We're here for a little bit of time, and we got to leave it better for the next generation. Talk to you tomorrow.